What's happening, YouTube? It's your boy, Mr. 10 Toes Down. Always player, never a hater. At 200 subs, I will be giving away $200. All you got to do is sub to the channel, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, and you could be in a chance to win. No extra, no none of that. Keep that shit clear. Hey, YouTube, it's your boy, Mr. 10 Toes Down. Always player, never a hater. You dig what I'm saying? Alright, so I've been seeing this one going around on Twitter and shit like that. What pretending to be crazy looks like. I ain't gonna do the whole thing because this shit an hour long, you know what I'm saying? So like, but we gonna do it, you know what I'm saying? We gonna see what it's hitting on, what it's hitting like. Hold on. That better or that too right? That look a little, yeah, okay. We gonna see what it's hitting on, what it's looking like. So let's get into it. How do you pretend? How do you know if you...
This is 26-year-old Dawson McGee, sitting in a police interrogation room in the early hours of a Tuesday morning. The Monday night before, he stabbed his own mother to death for asking him to move out of the house and get a job. Dawson is unaware that he is being recorded on a hidden camera. In 3 seconds from now, he will hear the sound of the door being opened by a detective. And at that exact moment, you will see a remarkably noticeable switch in his demeanor.
We'll talk to you about what happened to your mom. What are you telling me?
Bro, real life. Hey, bro, real life playing with these folks. Bro, that's crazy. It's fucked up that he did his mom.
Okay. Well, so, well, was your sister home this weekend? Why didn't that's supposed to happen in town? If you want one. Am I supposed to have one? That's actually a question. Well, that's up to you if you like one.
Man, come on. He ain't even playing crazy right. Cause if you that throw it off, you not asking those questions.
You want to ask for an attorney? Yeah. Okay.
It would come as no surprise that a judge deemed him fit to stand trial. A jury then found him legally sane, and he was sentenced to life in prison for the murder of his mother.
Right.
All of which was in spite of
and playing crazy on the
mental
butt. They should
illness,
burn your
similar to the
ass
one you see here. Dawson clearly believed that his passage through the legal system would somehow be easier if he were presumed insane, which is a naive, yet somewhat common misconception that many suspects make when facing serious charges. They have this notion that a plea of insanity would either lower the severity of their punishment or liberate them from it altogether. That instead of being sent to prison, they would simply be released back into society, perhaps with a free psychotherapeutic program to attend on the weekends. This is, of course, a far cry from reality.
Man, hell no,
In the
your
United
ass wants to
States,
the
if you're
crazy
found
house to do
responsible
your
for a
time.
serious
You get what I'm
offense,
saying?
but also found not guilty of the crime by reason of insanity, you will be institutionalized at a high-security psychiatric facility. These institutions are without question some of the darkest and most disturbing places in the system. And if you're not actually suffering from the crippling effects of mental illness, living in this type of environment will be a mentally agonizing experience. The foresight of what occurs inside these units would make the majority wish to avoid them. But once you are in,
so it's
it is
worse
very
than
hard to get
prison?
out, and you will have to serve the same, if not a greater amount of time
That's
than
tough.
you would have had to serve at a regular prison.
Don't do the crime.
Commit a serious
Don't play
offense
crazy
and pretend
if you
to be
do
crazy
the crime.
in order to get away
Take
with
your
it.
time like a
Your life
man.
from that point forward will be an extremely dark and uncomfortable existence, whether you manage to fool the system or not. But there is one benefit, which is the elimination of capital punishment. The United States cannot execute someone deemed insane during the time of their offense, which is the only conceivable reason a defendant would cling to this narrative even after knowing
They
what
still
lies
giving
ahead
people
should
like-
it succeed.
Then
And this
just
happens to be a notion that ties in closely to the primary subject of this video. It will focus on one particular individual whose interrogation footage is so fraught with blatant trickery that most of the segments
They still
presented
giving
to you
niggas the
won't
chance?
even need suggestive commentary. You can simply observe and judge for yourself whether you see authentic behavior or not. But before showing you what pretending to be crazy looks like, we'll briefly show you a genuine case of the criminally insane, or at least a far more convincing one. This is 18-year-old Jared Murray, a freshman at East Central University in Oklahoma. On a Wednesday evening in December, he asked fellow student Gennaro Sanchez for a ride to Walmart. Once they got there, Murray pulled out a handgun and made Gennaro drive to an isolated country road where he shot him twice in the head. He then attempted to hitchhike to Canada, but was soon apprehended by police on the side of the road. He immediately confessed to the crime once apprehended, and was then interrogated by the arresting officer.
I went down to his dorm room and asked if I could be given a ride to Walmart in exchange for $20 gas money.
How far? Hold the fuck up. How far is the Walmart? Cause $20 again. Cause this look like early 2000s. You know the footage ain't clear. Why is there a can of WD-40 on the disc? Anyway, how far to Walmart? Gas was no more than $2.50 at this point.
Yes, sir.
Did you both go in?
No, we did not go in, sir.
And why not?
We pulled into the parking lot, then I pulled the weapon on him and demanded that he take me to Asher, Oklahoma, sir.
And why did all of a sudden you decide that you need to go to Asher?
Because I was planning to take him out into the country and kill him.
Oh, shit.
Did he say anything?
He panicked, wanted to pull out his phone. I yanked the phone out of his hand, and then he panicked some more. Kept telling me not to kill him. To make him feel more comfortable, I unloaded the clip, unloaded the bullet from the chamber, handed them over to him, and that eased his nerves a little. Then I pulled a second clip out of my pocket and set it on my lap.
And so you're driving east.
Hold the fuck
So I
up.
guess at some point-
This motherfucker really standing on what the fuck he
That
did.
was the time.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what happened?
I loaded the gun quickly, chambered the round quickly, shot once, missed, shot a second time, hit, jumped out of the car, went around. He was driving 10, 15 miles an hour, so it was rather slow. Ran around the hood of the car, and of course it was slow when he wasn't purposefully driving. Tried to pull him out, couldn't get him out until he already had hit the tree. Pulled him out there, dumped him into the, before I dumped him into the ditch, I heard him gurgling. I'm not sure if that was a physiological or physical process after death, but I thought that
The
he
fuck?
must have lived through that somehow, because he was gurgling. So I shot him again, and then shoved him down in the ditch.
He makes a half-hearted attempt to conceal the body with a handful of leaves and a stick. He then walks in the direction of the highway.
Did you get back on the highway?
Yes, sir.
And which way did you go?
No, sir.
And what were your intentions? You walking north.
Canada, sir.
You were going to Canada.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
He states that his plan was to escape into Canada, but he had nothing to escape with, not even a passport.
I had tried hitchhiking most of the way because the only way this was going to work, factoring in my belief that y'all found the crime scene, is if someone were to give me a ride there and then. And then whenever your patrol car was pulling up behind me, I didn't know it was a patrol car. I stuck my thumb out and you was there for the rest.
Jared, I want to ask you just point blank, because, I mean, you sat here and confessed to
Pretty much everything.
in my mind, and I think you might agree with me, just cold-bloodedly killed a young man tonight.
Yes, sir.
All right, son. Have you ever killed anybody else?
No, sir.
You will now see the detective attempt to establish a motive for the crime.
I guess I'm having a hard time understanding what you got out of it. Can you help me?
Oh yeah, cause we need
I
a
didn't
motive
really
to
get
see.
anything out of it.
Do you feel
Need a motive to see why you did it. And this is what's gonna make you insane
I'm
tonight.
sad that I got caught so quickly.
Tell me why I should believe you that there just was going to be one person that was going to suffer from your consequences of killing.
You have no reason to believe me, sir.
I guess I'm just having a
Well,
hard
it's
time understanding.
standing on what you said was a person.
The detective fails to establish a solid motive for a further 2 minutes. The discussion eventually lands on the victim's long-term girlfriend.
You don't think she's going to be upset, heartbroken?
I think she will be, sir.
How does that make you feel?
No different, sir.
I think you've been honest with me. I think you told me just straight up.
Yeah, he was straight up, man.
What happened?
Yes, sir.
But
Yes, sir.
And what do you think should happen to you?
Death sentence, sir.
And why do you think you deserve a death sentence?
An eye for an eye, sir.
An eye for eye. Bruh, if standing on it, if standing on what you said and what you did was a person, this is
Jared
that.
Murray was found not guilty by reason of insanity. He was committed to a high-security mental facility where he is to remain indefinitely.
Anything to say for
Oh,
yourself
he look
today?
crazy.
No, ma'am.
Look at
Any
him.
reason why you might have done this to this young man?
No, ma'am.
No reason.
No, ma'am.
You have nothing to say for yourself.
No, ma'am.
You want to tell the community anything?
No, ma'am.
Did you confess to police?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you proud of what you've done?
No, ma'am.
Do you have remorse for what you've done?
No, ma'am.
He appears completely void of human emotion. No regret, remorse, shame, nor fear. He had both taken a life and destroyed his own, yet seems indifferent to the circumstances. With respect to his interrogation footage, the most conspicuous element was the complete lack of self-preservation. He didn't once attempt to deflect blame, nor afford himself any type of justification for his actions. He simply spoke in a factual, non-biased manner, impartial to how his words may have been taken or even twisted to be used against him. There was no calculated structure to his behavior whatsoever. So with this notion in mind, let's move on to the primary subject of this video.
Okay, we're gonna do like one or two more. How long is this shit? Oh, we're 10 minutes. We're gonna do like one or two more, man. Cause that one was, woo! Yes, that nigga was crazy. Okay, let's see what, cause this supposed to be pretending. That last dude was so crazy, like, I forgot this whole video was supposed to be what it looked like when you pretending to be crazy.
Portrait, right?
Shit.
Put your hands up a little bit. Have a seat. Did you get up? Well, do not think about getting up, right, buddy?
This is 19-year-old Nicholas Cruz, who 3 hours and 55 minutes prior to this moment murdered 17 people at his former high school in Parkland, Florida. Among the dead were 3
this is
teachers
Parkland,
and
dude.
14 students, the majority of whom were 14 years old. A further 17 students were seriously wounded during the massacre. The gunman dropped his rifle 7 minutes into the rampage and then blended in with the crowd as he ran out of the building. He was at large for 1 hour and 20 minutes, during which time he stopped off at a Subway and then a McDonald's, where he sat down and casually spoke to one of the victim's brothers. The student was unaware that his older sister had just been shot through the chest by the man sitting across the table. The description of the shooter was transmitted by police over the radio, which led to an officer identifying and arresting him on a street just 2 miles away from the school. He was taken to the nearest hospital and examined by a doctor for roughly 1 hour and 45 minutes. He was medically cleared and then transferred to the local sheriff's office where he was subjected to interrogation.
Well, do not think about getting up.
Hold up. So is he pretending? I need to know if he pretending to be crazy, cause that's some crazy ass shit. Well, I guess he didn't know he shot dude's sister. Man, that's got to be some traumatizing shit to know that you sat pretty much 8 months with your sister. Whew, Lord, please have mercy on these people.
Wait.
From the moment the subject entered the room, his eyes have been fixed upon nothing but the floor. He's held on to this downward-facing gaze as if he's either in a state of shock or disconnected from the moment. At the exact moment the door shuts, he lifts up his head to observe his surroundings. His behavior completely shifts once he believes no one is watching. If we look at his demeanor a moment earlier, we can see the contrast. He went from being detached to alert. His behavior changed as the environment changed, which is a recurring theme throughout this interrogation. It shows us that his mind isn't wandering off during these moments of apparent disconnection. He is in fact fully present and very aware of what's going on around him. As he looks up, his eyes immediately lock onto the camera. He now knows he is still being watched, and his following gestures will resemble that of someone with suicidal tendencies.
Bro, he should have. They need to get a brother chill, like for real, for taking them folks live though.
At face value, these externalized suicidal thoughts may seem genuine to some, but when framed with the rest of his behavior throughout this interrogation, they are exposed for what they really are, an act.
Hold on, another thing. How the hell this nigga get the footage from the interrogation room? How y'all? The internet is a wild place, bro.
Calculated attempt to garner sympathy and paint his character in what he believes to be a more positive light.
Alright, how you doing, Nick? You alright? Gotta be able to speak so I can hear you. Alright, I just need to ask you really your name and date of birth just to confirm I got it right, and then I'm gonna see if you want a glass of water or something. What's your first name?
This is a situation where the proof against the suspect is already conclusive. He is without question responsible for the crimes under investigation, making the pursuit of a confession non-essential. The police know he did it, but they need to know why he did it, which would already require a complex strategy in order to obtain the correct information. But the suspect's first recorded statements upon his arrest have now made the procedure considerably more difficult.
What's going on today, bro?
The demons, man.
Demons?
Voices.
Voices and demons?
Where's the voices? What happened?
Shut up. Just be quiet, man.
Demons.
Damn, y'all real nice to this motherfucker
These
too,
two
boy.
words have now
Boy,
formed the practical
stop, boy.
stratagem of his own interrogation.
But he would have been,
which is to
he
cut
would have
through deception
been, you know
under
what I'm
the guise of
saying?
supportive examination. The questions will
It
be
wouldn't even
designed
be
to
no
lock him into a
question.
specific narrative about his alleged psychosis, while simultaneously giving him the impression that his responses are for his own benefit. Anything he says now can be used to refute any amendments he might come up with at a later stage. We all know that after this interrogation, he will have significantly more time to think, study, and even seek guidance from professionals about how the legal system interconnects with mental illness. Yet the majority of this forthcoming knowledge could be useless to him depending on what he says during these moments. The more details he gives away, the less options he will have for his defense later on. But pursuing this objective is complicated, as there are two very common scenarios for when this type of suspect gets interrogated. And just to be entirely clear, by this type of suspect, we mean someone who is 1. Pretending to be insane, and 2. Not fooling anyone. Their most common response is to simply shut down. They regress into total silence or some type of catatonic state, and the interrogation never gets off the ground. The other common response is the exact opposite. They erupt into hysteria or supposed delirium, and everything from that point forward becomes incoherent. The lead detective, John Curcio, must not allow either of these scenarios to transpire, and this makes the first 2 minutes absolutely crucial. He needs to create a positive first impression and resemble the furthest thing from a threat, while at the same time maintain a presence of authority. His temperament will be easygoing and non-confrontational, but also encouraging when extracting a response. His role in this moment is the ally.
It's a lot of
He needs to be
information.
liked, respected, but must not be feared. Not yet anyway. Going off the suspect's initial demeanor, the detective will know that he is far more likely to regress into a state of silence at this opening stage. And if he can prevent that from happening within the first 2 minutes, he is over the first obstacle.
Alright, how you doing, Nick? I just need to ask you really your name and date of birth just to confirm I got it right, and then I'm gonna see if you want a glass of water or something. What's your first name? Come on, Nick. Huh? Spell it for me. Come on, I'm old. You gotta talk so I can hear you. N-I-K. O. Okay. A-S. And what's your middle name? Come on, man, speak so I can hear you. Jacob. Jacob. J-A-C. What's your date of birth? Okay, you need to relax, because I'm the last detective or policeman you're going to have to talk to. So right off the bat, that should be somewhat comforting to you to know that I'm the last guy you got to talk to. But the thing about it is, look at me. I got to be able to hear you. Okay? So all I want to do is get basic
Is he
information
crying?
from you, and then we'll get into whether you want a glass of water, all that stuff. What's your date of birth?
09.
January?
09.
09 September.
The investigation team already know the answers to these basic questions. Their only purpose are to initiate a response, and their non-threatening nature make it more likely for the suspect to engage. They are essentially the opening wedge to get the two-way dialogue flowing.
I want to see what he's going to do.
The suspect is still partially committed to his catatonic state, as we can clearly see. He is still responsive, making it unlikely for him to regress into complete silence from this point forward. Everything up to this moment has gone to plan. The detective has one foot in the door, and he can now develop the relationship from a more secure position. He goes about this with a standard method of rapport development, the offer of food and water.
All right, let me do this. You want cold water? You know if you want cold water? Thank you. I'm going to bring in 2, because I don't want one. It was hot, and if you decide you want to have it, that's fine. You sure you don't want something to eat?
The refusal to accept food and water is a familiar response which you may have already seen on this channel. It's a glaring manifestation of shame. This is not to be confused with guilt nor remorse, both of which require the acceptance of responsibility, which in turn directs our focus outwards on the feelings of others. Shame, on the other hand, shifts our focus on the perceptions of others towards ourselves. The subject is afraid of how it will look if he accepts the offer, considering the circumstances. He instead wants to appear as if he's so negatively affected by the events that he's unconcerned with meeting his basic needs.
Of course, I have so many different keys. All right, I'll be right back.
Yeah, that was some fucked up
Once
shit
again,
you did, nigga.
his demeanor abruptly switches when the detective leaves the room.
For
With
sure.
his head buried in his hands, it's anyone's guess as to what is going through his mind at this moment. But what you are about to see next is extremely revealing.
They should've.
Cruz was a left-handed shooter. The surveillance at the school would confirm this, and if you pay close attention to the movements of his hands in the next moments, although very subtle, you can see that he's reimagining holding his weapon. But what's more telling is how his demeanor abruptly stops and then completely switches right before he looks in the direction of the camera. He goes from holding a rifle and beginning to smirk to then pretending to cry and reverting back to his suicidal mannerisms. This all occurs in under 4 seconds.
Yeah. There go the smile. Here come the smile. Yep. Boom.
It could be assumed that for a brief moment, he was not only recollecting the attack, but gaining gratification from doing so. He then remembered he was on film, giving reason for the sharp adjustment. His true self was reliving the attack and enjoying his
Damn,
work,
bro.
while
Well,
his
you
false
need
self
to be
was so dejected
working for the
to the point
police,
he was
breaking this shit down
externalizing
like
suicidal
that.
thoughts. Complete opposites.
Hey, man, that shit's so fucked up, man. Damn. He needs
His
to
next
chill.
calculated charade is one of self-harm.
Good
he
God.
first bites himself without drawing blood, or leaving any marks that were visible in his jail intake photographs.
Alright, I'll head out. Hey, look, man. The simple point of all this is you can't fake crazy. Apparently. Bruh just broke this down. You dig what I'm saying? Can't fake crazy. You can't pretend to be crazy. Like, know what I'm saying? That one dude before this one, shot out. Yes. Crazy. This dude knew what he was doing, wanted to do it, need to be. If you take a lot, you just, well, especially what he did, bro, you just need to chill. But hey, man, it's your boy Mr. 10 Toe Down. Don't forget about the giveaway, man. Keep that shit player.